All right, let's get into it. The Philadelphia Eagles. Another day, another session to try and get to the bottom of what the hell is going on with our football team. So I was on last night following Thursday Night Football, and it was very easy when the clock hit 0 to just make fun of Dallas. Because they suck. Because they're a joke. Because they are an abysmal franchise. And we knew that. But they started to convince themselves that they weren't. And it was so funny to watch them fail. But now I want to use that and tie it to the Philadelphia Eagles. Because I heard a ton of fans all throughout the day today, whether it was right here on the airwaves, whether it was on social media, whether it was friends in my life. And they all went, whew, I can breathe now because the Cowboys aren't right behind us. They're not breathing on our necks as intensely as they were because Detroit won. And while I understand where you're coming from, the truth is the Dallas loss doesn't do a damn thing for me. The Eagles, and only the Eagles, can influence my optimism. It's going to come down to taking less penalties. It's going to come down to finding a way to get a better run game. It's going to come down to better execution from Jalen Hurts to the offensive line and everybody in between. It's going to come down to what they look like without Jalen Carter, because the Bears said, we will annihilate you and we will run the football down your throat. Can other teams have similar success, especially without Jalen Carter on the field? You had a limited Jalen Carter, now remove Jalen Carter. Who's going to step up? So my point is, the Cowboys losing, while it's fun to make fun of those losers, it doesn't make me feel much better. I'm only going to feel better because of what the Eagles show me. So I want you to be honest with me. I want you to really let me know if the Cowboys falling and making whatever that NFC East conversation would have been if they were to win, now that that's not really there, do you feel better? Do you? With the Lions winning, are you in a better headspace? Are you less tight? Is there less pressure now? Where, okay, there's 85 different issues with the Eagles. There could have been 86 if the Cowboys won. But now there's only 85. So, whew! Does that change your way of thinking? I would love to know. And I want you to be transparent with me. If the answer is yes, I want to know. 215-592-9494. It just doesn't for me, because this has always been about the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot, the Eagles not living up to their own standard, the Eagles, always about the Eagles. Nothing in the NFC sways me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not afraid of Sam Darnold. I'm not afraid of Jordan Love. I'm not afraid of the Rams. Could the Rams beat you? Sure. Can the Eagles beat the Rams? Yes. I'm not afraid of Tampa Bay. I'm not afraid of anything. There's no fear in any NFC opponent. It's always been about looking in the mirror, internally finding answers out, and Nick Sirianni delivering a message that the locker room buys into. And it's got less to do with everything outside the NovaCare complex in this league. But not everybody feels that way. And I was actually baffled by the amount of people close to me that was so happy and so excited because now there's less pressure on the Eagles because Dallas showed their true colors. I don't have that way of thinking. I just don't have it. 215-592-9494. I want to play a couple pieces of audio for you. Let's begin with Fox Sports 1. So this was Chris Broussard, who gave out his grades for Dallas against Detroit, but he also mentioned our team in the clip, and I wanted to chew on that a bit. Take a listen to what Chris Broussard had to say.
Overall, though, their season's over. I mean, Dak's talking about everybody's ticked off, and you're going to see that it's over. It's over, barring a full collapse from the Eagles. It's over. But I was probably kind to him.
I was going to say.
I gave him a C.
A C is
I gave him a C.
fair.
Okay. I thought about a D because of Pickens.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a C. But you know what?
All right, so what did he say there? He said, if the Eagles have a monster collapse, that's where the door opens up for anybody else to take this division, specifically, of course, that stupid star. And that's what I'm talking about, though. You control everything here. You control all of it. It's about what's happening internally. It's about finding out how to get this thing back on a serviceable track. Because this thing is egregious as hell. This thing is hideous. This is gross, gross football, and it is disgusting. And even though this team may not be what it was last year, they have more in the tank than what they showed against the Bears. I feel that in my bloodstream. That's not who they are. You're telling me that's who they are? Come on, no way. No way. I don't think they're as polished as last season. But they're not that. That Black Friday crap? Are you kidding me? They got more. They need to dig deep. Because there is a golden opportunity right now with the current state of this conference and where the league is. You control what you can control. And the opportunity is another get to the top of the mountain type of result. But I'm only going to get moved emotionally based off of everything that they control and everything that's in their power. Anything else going on, Sam Darnold doing this, Matthew Stafford throwing interceptions, Jordan Love doing that, Dak Prescott doing this, George Pickens doing that, whatever. It's added layers to a story, but the main plot all stems around Jalen, Sirianni, Mailata, and everything they can control. Now let's take a listen to our very own Elliot Shore-Parks, who was on with Joe DeCamara and John Ritchie, and he had this to say about the Birds.
Elliot, let's go big picture with the Eagles. Not the Chargers game, but the remainder of the season. Do you think they get back to performing like an elite NFL football team?
So I think if you ask me, will they play better than they did against Chicago? Yes. But I don't think they're going to turn into the juggernaut we saw last year. I don't think they will turn into like a super crisp, super clean, elite football team. But I do think they don't have far to go to be a team that can make the Super Bowl. The NFC is just not that good. Like, I'm not afraid of Seattle. The Rams certainly are playing well, but the Eagles seem to have their number, and they beat them this season. So I think we kind of hold the Eagles to the standard of last year, and I don't think they're going to reach that. I don't. Like, they've been too sloppy all year. They make mistakes too much. They get penalized too much. But I do think that they can get to the level where, can they beat Detroit? Yes, they beat them 3 weeks ago. Can they beat the Packers? Yes, they beat them in Green Bay about a month ago. So I do not think they'll collapse, but I think it's going to be a bumpy ride. I just think the ride could end in the Super Bowl.
Interesting. And I don't disagree. I believe the makeup is still there. I'm a little bit more fractured than I would like to be. I have way more questions than I would like to admit. But if I'm on a lie detector test and you say, Brodes, do you believe that there's something still brewing? Do you believe that there's still a way somehow? It may be a little wonky. It may be a bit bizarre. It may be weird and strange. And it may not be the path you would like to take to get there. But can you still get there? I'd say yes. And that lie detector would say, Brodes, you're telling the truth, damn it. You're a hell of a guy. Thank you, lie detector test. I need to know from you, as we are about to get to the phones, what transpired on Thursday Night Football, which we were all watching, and we had our binoculars, making sure the Lions secured a win. We knew the importance from a mathematical standpoint with the standings in the NFC East. How much did that really help you emotionally, help you mentally? Do you feel better because the Cowboys fell in Detroit? Or is it strictly about inside the NovaCare complex and who the Eagles are and who they're going to be moving forward? Because a lot of this town took some big, deep breaths knowing that heat that Dallas was putting on after coming back down 21 and after beating the Raiders, that energy shift that they were feeling inside their practice facility, it was starting to hum. It was starting to get intense. You were starting to hear the noise and feel the heat, and you no longer do. And that put some Eagles fans at ease. It was never about that for me. Never, ever, ever. Always about the collective Kelly Green men inside that locker room. To the phones. Let's go to Greg in Port Richmond. What's going on, Greg?
Hey, Don.
What's going on?
No, I don't know. I just want to talk about Saquon Barkley a little bit.
Okay, what are you thinking about Saquon?
Well, I don't know. We had, 3 drops last weekend, and then a fumble too. I'm a little annoyed at him.
Okay. What do you want to do about it moving forward? You want to keep pounding the rock with them, or are you calling for Tank Bigsby and Will Shipley?
I mean, how can I call for them?
Well, I don't know. Tank Bigsby averages
I'd call for the line to block a little better, but what I'd call for more is how did Saquon, what did he have, 3 drops last weekend? Did you see that pass that got thrown to him? He wasn't even looking at the ball?
Yeah, I saw it.
You don't have any thoughts on that?
I think Saquon's been horrendous. I think the O-line's been horrendous. I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. I think he's had a rough stretch here. I think Sirianni and Patullo need to get their head out of their rear end. I think the collective group as a whole is so out of sync that everybody looks so awful. And when that's the case, you got to look at the coaching staff first. But I think everybody's been completely off.
Well, yeah, and I'm hating on Saquon a little bit here, but he got 750 rushing yards, something like that already this season? And
truth be told, I was going to say,
have another 1,000-yard season, probably.
Truth be told, I don't even know what his numbers are. He's been such a disappointment that I don't even know what the collective group of the numbers are together. He's got 740. You know what? That blows me away. I got to be honest with you. I'm stunned that he's got 740 yards. 15 minutes into the program.
It's surprising, but he's going to have probably a 1,000-yard season again. And historically, that's a great season for a running back. But I don't know. Broke my heart when he's fumbling the ball all over the place. He's not catching easy passes that are hitting him. I mean, the one hit him in his face mask.
Yeah. No, Greg, listen, I understand the frustration. Before I let you go, I'm just curious. With the way Dallas lost, did that make you feel better at all? Or is it strictly about just the Eagles getting back on track and Dallas losing did nothing for you emotionally?
Well, I always feel better when Dallas loses. But, I mean, what's it matter to us, really? We got to play better.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, Greg, and I appreciate the phone call. Now, the reason why you can't just look at the number of yards, okay, is he's averaging 3.7 yards per carry. So the reason why he has the 740 is because of the attempts and keep running the football, trying to find life in the run game, and they're not. So, I mean, he's got 3.7 yards per carry and 4 touchdowns in almost 200 attempts. So I'm just stunned to even see 7-4. It feels like he gets 3 yards a game. I'm being obnoxious, but you get my point. All right, so some Saquon disappointment. It's funny. He kind of slides under the radar a little bit because, well, the offensive line's been so bad, and Jalen has struggled, and Patullo is public enemy number 1. No one actually criticizes Saquon to a crazy, crazy degree. And the one thing I'll say before we go to Simon here is he mentioned Tank Bigsby, saying, well, how could I call for Tank Bigsby? Well, he averages 8 or 9 yards per carry. Same offensive line. So that's how. This team is so dead without a pulse in the run game. You have someone who's using this same offensive line and getting almost triple, let's say double, the yards per carry that Saquon is. You asked the question, how could you call for Tank Bigsby? That's how. That's how. His production. That's all. It's not that difficult. His production. It's significantly better. All right, let's go to Simon. What's up, Simon?
How you doing? So I was at that beautiful game, the most beautiful game Friday. My God, it was the worst.
Oof.
And here's what I could tell you. Really, all my aggravation in my life goes out the window when I watch the Eagles. I'm completely immersed. It's my escapism. I love it. It's my wife. It's my family. I mean, I have all that, but I'm so into the Eagles, is to put all my life into, we all live our lives vicariously. There's telltale signs that our beautiful Sirianni really, really screws up. Inexcusable when your team has all these holes and problems. We need the coach to not make ridiculously horrible, disgusting decisions. And I'll tell you, the first one, I mean, he's made a bunch of them about punting, going for whatever. The Detroit game, I think it was, we're up by 2 scores in the fourth quarter. And they're at their own 30-something.
Yeah.
And he goes for it.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good feel for that this. Now, I will say, through the Sirianni era, I think he's done a good job in that department. But this year in particular, he has completely flopped in a lot of these situations.
And let me say this, too. He really, theoretically, as bad as they were, if they just would have gone for 1 point, the extra point, then it's a 1-score game. Right? He went for 2. There was no reason.
Well, there is a reason why. That is a debatable football tactic. That's not incompetent that's not the same as. You may disagree with the tactic, but mathematically speaking, it's almost split 50-50 in the football world on what right is. But when it comes to the play against the Lions, that's just stupid. You may disagree with the decision by Nick, but there at least is logic in going for 2. You might just not like it.
Let me just say this. The greatness about the great coaches is their feel, right? Their feel for the game. We were fledgling. We were dying. If it was not the time, we didn't have total confidence.
I was okay with it. I was all right with it. It's okay. I would have been okay with either one.
Push. When are we going to, it's not the only freaking play we can call. Call the push at the goal line, maybe. But if you're not, at the 1/2-inch line, watch the other teams. The first time Dallas got, at the 1, I'm thinking, there's no way they're going to do the push. They're just going to blow it right in. And the running back cleanly went up the middle, untouched, touchdown. That's football. We've done the push. It brought us to the promised land. Bring it in as a surprise tactic when they're not.
Well, I disagree with that, too. But, Simon, let me ask you this. When it comes to Dallas, do you feel better that they lost because now they're not?
Times we needed it bad.
Oh, okay.
Bad.
All right, Simon. I love you, dude. I appreciate the call, Simon. Wow. I think I heard tears at the end. Luke, your thoughts?
Needed it bad.
I think Sirianni has been awful this season in some of these spots, but I do think this is my problem with Sirianni. there are times, like he mentioned, where you're going for it on your own 30 and you're up and now you're giving the Lions life. That's just straight up stupid. Stupid. There are decisions that are football fair decisions that you may like going for one instead of two, but that's not incompetent coaching. It's just what you prefer. There's all these reasons why going for two, you're going to need to go for two at some point. Would you rather go for it earlier, then you know what that sets up after with more time on the clock, or would you rather extend the game? And, there's all these different tactics with it. And the tush push, that's a play that's worked, not so much as it did in the past, but I'm not just eliminating that. I'm not eliminating it from the playbook. I'm trying to figure out how to execute it better, because when you do execute it better, it's basically unstoppable. So I'm not trying to eliminate something that I feel can benefit you enough to help you get to the promised land. I'm going to try and work my ass off to make sure I get it to click to a better level again. It may not be what it once was because you don't have the same offensive line, but it could sure as hell be a lot better than it is currently, and I ain't giving up on something that I know can be that successful. Now, Luke, I'm curious your thoughts on the Dallas stuff. Just, they're breathing down your neck. It was a big-time loss yesterday on Thursday Night Football. All eyes were on it. Do you feel better that it happened, or are you so focused on the Eagles that nothing else really hits home?
No, I don't feel better about it, because the Eagles can still completely collapse this season. I mean, if you both finish, let's say a disaster happens and the Eagles finish with 10 wins, and they're 10-7. And the Cowboys finish with 10 wins. They'd be 10-6-1, and they'd win the division. Does 10 wins get you in the playoffs as a wild card team in the NFC? I don't know. Most of the games the Eagles have lost this year, they have beat themselves more than the other team has beat them. The Cowboys game, that happened. The Broncos game, that happened. The Bears game, you can argue the Bears just flat out beat us because they just crushed us in the run game. And then the Giants Thursday night game that no one paid attention to because that's when the Phillies lost, the Giants straight up beat us in that game. But all of their issues have been self-inflicted. It's the pre-snap penalties. It's not being focused enough. And if you're not focused as a football team in December, then you're not a good football team. If you're looking for an identity still, which Jalen Hurts said they're looking for an identity still, in December, you're not a good football team. They're not on the same page right now. So if they lose and they don't make the playoffs, it's not going to be because all these other teams are better than them. Mm-hmm. It's because they beat themselves. If they lose Monday night, it's because they're going to beat themselves. The Chargers are a good football team, but the Eagles are much better than the Chargers, and they should beat them easily. I don't care if it's in L.A. When have the Chargers ever had a home field advantage since moving to L.A.? So, no, even with this Cowboys loss, I don't feel better about the Eagles. I'm not saying, oh, God, thank God the Eagles aren't going to blow the division now. They still could, and that scares me. And if they don't, what am I? What's the alternative? Oh, cool, they win the NFC East and they're a one and done, but they barely win the NFC East. A lot of problems.
No, I'm with you. I couldn't agree more. That's sort of where I'm at. We got to fix our own house. Okay, we got problems within our own house. That's the main priority, because without that, all the other stuff, it's just blah. It's just nothingness. It's just blah. This is what matters. The Philadelphia Eagles logo and the crest. That's the importance. Let's go to Jay in Gibbstown. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, Brodes, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I really don't have a lot of confidence in the Eagles. The Dallas game, it doesn't really going to change how we play because we control our own destiny. So whatever happens with other teams really doesn't affect us.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
But I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
What makes you think the Eagles are going to turn it around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And which offense is going to show up on Monday? Can you answer that?
No, I can't, and that's a problem.
That is a huge problem. What makes you think the Eagles are going to be good?
So I get my answer to that would be I believe, and maybe I'm nuts here, but when they won And I know you could say it was flawed and the way they did it was bizarre and it's not sustainable. But when you start out the year and you beat Dallas in the weird first game of the season when everyone's coming off of a preseason, you go on the road and beat Kansas City, you beat the Rams, you beat Tampa Bay, you beat Green Bay, you beat the Lions, you beat every team that was thrown your way that's at the top of the NFC. If you win against all those teams, every single one of them, you don't get lucky 7 times. There is something to the madness. Now, we may not like the watch or the viewing experience, but they were doing something through limiting the turnovers and their defensive structure where they were able to find consistent winning against the top NFC teams. So I feel there is a way to win, but they're not going to win in a way that's going to blow our socks off. They'll just get back to winning in an ugly way. But I think you can win at a high rate winning in their ugly way. Does that make sense or no?
Actually, it does. Don't get me wrong. I'm not scared of any NFC team. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not scared about that. But I am, doubting, the Eagles' offense is going to do anything substantial.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And everybody's saying, well, let Nick Sirianni call the plays. Well, how did that turn out in 2021 when the Eagles went 2-5 when he was calling the plays? So, what makes you think this offense is going to turn around? And listen, the other teams in the playoffs, they're playoff teams. They made the playoffs. The Rams I'd be scared of because you know what? I don't, when an offense is not working the way it should, and I think this is what happened with Chicago. The defense has to be perfect.
Yeah, it's asking a lot.
Defense is saying, you know what? What the hell do we have to do? It's we don't have any confidence in the offense.
Yeah.
That they're going to help us out.
Well, this is what I'm thinking, Jay. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you tuning in. I don't think they're as abysmal as what we saw against Chicago, and I don't know if they're perfect passer rating good against Minnesota. But I think they're somewhere in between. I do. I think you ask why or what do you think is going to happen for them to change? Or I don't think it's going to change to this duress, this insane way where they're all of a sudden this high-flying offense. But I do think that there's enough here to be more successful than the 3-and-out chaotic crap that it shows sometimes. And what can change? Well, the time of the year, urgency. It's December now, and the teams you're facing aren't as talented, and maybe that allows you to kind of create some momentum and some positive energy. You're facing a Chargers team. We don't know Herbert's status. We're facing a Raiders team, the Commanders who are in a weird space and whatnot. Now, I guess their quarterback is getting some updates, but maybe that allows for you to just have better flow and rhythm because you're facing lesser opponents. And then once you start to get confidence, then you can perform better once the playoffs come around. I believe in Jalen. And I think there's more here than what we've gotten. And you got to dig deep in these times. And they've dug deep before. They have. They've dug deep before. They have. I think they could turn it around, but it'll still be ugly. But there's a way to turn this around and win ugly. There is a way to do that. That's what I'm projecting. I'm not projecting them to turn it around and win beautifully. I expect them to turn it around and win ugly. Win ugly. Where you cry on Monday and say you hated it, but they won. That's what I'm expecting. Which I feel should play a role in how you talk about it. I don't want to make it seem like I think they're going to be the greatest in the world here. All right, 215-592-9494. Did the way Dallas played on Thursday, the way they lost to the Lions, and now mathematically they have a very difficult road ahead, does that make you feel better? Anything that happened with the Cowboys and this NFC East conversation, them failing, does it make you feel better at all? Or is it strictly about how the Eagles are operating through your eyes? It's been fascinating talking about where you are mentally with this team based off of Thursday Night Football. Not many Thursday night games move the needle. You see Jacksonville and Tennessee and you want to throw up And you watch all 4 quarters because we're sickos. But you see a game where it's 10-7 and the game sucked. But that wasn't the case in Detroit. It was a entertaining game and an important game for the NFC East. And while I was clearly waving my Detroit pom-poms, praying for a Dallas loss, once I really allowed the loss to be digested, I realized it's irrelevant, Brodes. It doesn't really matter. Nothing matters except for one thing and one thing only. The Eagles finding a way to get back to winning football. And I'm going to be open with you. This year's team, their version of winning football will be a hideous watch. Okay? When I say winning football, I don't think you're going to flip the clocks back to Shane Steichen, to Saquon running for 2,000 yards. That's not what I'm saying. But there was a formula of winning football where they beat every good team in this league. Every single one of them. Everyone. Everyone. Green Bay, Detroit, Los Angeles, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Dallas week 1. Everyone. The loss was a short week against the Giants where the Giants had your number. They had a bit of swag with the new running back and the new quarterback, and that helped them with a little bit of a surge. But outside of that, there was a formula to beat every top team in this league. They have to find that again. Dallas, irrelevant. Stafford, irrelevant. Sam Darnold, irrelevant. Jordan Love, irrelevant. All of it, irrelevant, irrelevant, irrelevant. You got to find that formula again. Jalen, can't be fumbling the football, dude. I love you. You know I love you. Can't be fumbling the football. Can't be missing Devontae Smith, or there can't be miscommunication on what route should be ran. Can't happen. These pre-snap penalties. These penalties that are negating a positive play. Can't happen. When that gets cleaned up, not a soul scares me. So that game where Dallas just played in Detroit doesn't do a damn thing for me. It doesn't impact my feelings on this group one tiny little bit. Does it for you? 215-592-9494. Before we get back to the phones, I want you to listen to Jordan Mailata, because Jordan Mailata spoke to the media, and maybe, just maybe, there is a way for them to find a bit of an identity based off of some new wrinkles. This is what Jordan Mailata had to say.
To be honest, as boring as this sounds, it's the same story every week. We are one block away. Got some new stuff in this week. But, hopefully we can execute up front. That's all. It's where it starts and that's where it ends. If we execute up front, take care of everything else.
Got some new stuff this week. And I'll give the Eagles credit here. I guess I'd say a ways ago or earlier in the season. And I believe it was right before that Minnesota game. Kevin Patullo talked about how he felt very confident moving forward because of a really good offensive meeting that they had. And then they went out there and they did phenomenal. Perfect passer rating. And I remember that Friday I did a show. I followed the afternoon show that day. It was 6 to 10. I remember it like the back of my hand. And I said, okay, KP, you let us know what's in there. A big meeting, a lot of talking, figuring out answers. You let me know what was happening inside that NovaCare complex, what was in those walls. Prove it to me. And they did. They did. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened since. But that week they had it. I'm going to apply that same logic here. Mailata? We got some new stuff added? Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't think that's too much to ask. It worked before, though. We'll see if it works again. Let's go to Ted in Medford. What's going on, Ted?
You know, Brodes, I compare this. I know you're a happily married man, but in your younger years, I'm sure you had some turbulent relationships where, you know, it was good, it was bad, but ultimately you had to figure out what to do. You had to figure out, are you in or are you out? Okay, I don't need this in between. If the Eagles decide to win real ugly 17-16, the defense forced 3 turnovers, or Justin Herbert looked real bad, but Jalen still struggled, I'm out. Okay, I'm done. If they look great, if Jalen throws for 250 and 3 touchdowns and Saquon manages 80 yards and the defense looks sharp, okay, you got me. But and if they lose, I mean, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it.
All right, what if I paint you this picture, Ted? What if they win exactly how you laid it out? Maybe 2 turnovers for Herbert. They win 17-16, but they win out the rest of the season, which then when you look at the total season, while it's hideous football, there is a formula that generates wins to end the season on a strong note, winning a lot of games after some turmoil, beating all the teams I referenced earlier, and they win out the rest of the way. Do you think the quantity of wins, even if it's a hideous watch, could maybe win you over? Or you don't think that can happen?
Well, and that's me when I'm 22, and I was like, all right, I'm going to take my crazy ex-girlfriend to the melting pot because she earned it. But, you know, don't burn me again. I can't do this anymore. But, you know, there's a scenario here, Brodes.
Yes.
The Eagles got their doors blown off, right? In Philadelphia, oh, my God, we're going to be so done with the Eagles. But guess what? The winter of Brodes begins. Because you know what? You know what's not doing bad in Philadelphia right now? I know you know what's not doing bad in Philadelphia.
Do I know, Ted? Do I know?
Yes, exactly. And guess what? Everyone was going to want a piece of Brodes. The morning show, the afternoon show, the midday show. We need to know what's going on with the Flyers. And you know what? I'm just saying, it's an opportunity for you. I know you love the Eagles, but listen, the Flyers, they're coming up.